Hey, I'm super excited today because I have my wife and my daughter, and it's a little bit more on the personal side, but it focuses on their stories and it shows the background of my life growing up as a teen parent. I'm super excited to have my wife and my daughter here on this podcast. It's amazing because they both went to law school, and my daughter, she's like my apple, actually, and the other one's like my she's the seed and this is the apple. So today I want to talk about like the journey, right? The journey, and both of you went to law school. It didn't just start from law school. You went to USF and you went to HSC. So talk to me through that process of how that went and your experiences with that. You know, it's a mom and daughter combination.
Yeah. Do you want me to start?
Yeah, you can start.
So HCC wasn't planned. I took 7 years to graduate, as you know. And it was weird because she actually walked in graduation. I don't know if you remember that I opened the graduation book and saw my name. And I was like, oh man, like I'm graduating at the same time as Eyesenia is.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like a eye-opening experience because I had taken so long to even just get my associate's degree. When I went to USF, we both were planning to go, but we had different. Actually, I think when I started, no, it was different majors already. Because I kept switching what I was going to do. So then I did communication. You did.
I did marketing and sales.
Yeah.
She's my apple.
Yes.
Same thing. Okay.
I was going to do that, but I am not good at math, and I saw all of the different types of classes that needed to be taken at USF, and I was like, that's not for me. So I actually did communication, and I absolutely am elated that I switched my major because I loved it. I absolutely loved my communication major. And so at USF we would like carpool, but we didn't have any classes together. Mm-hmm. And so after USF, I was always like, I'm going to go to law school.
Yeah.
And then COVID happens.
Yeah.
And I was studying for the LSAT, and then she was like,
I just happened to go because my sales manager at the time was saying, Eyesenia, why don't you go to law? And I was hesitant because I saw you go through it. And I was nervous.
Well,
it was a hard journey, and I saw you locked up in the room.
Well, but we're going to get to that subject here in a little while.
Yeah.
You didn't want to do the law thing. At first, you were like, Dad, I have more money saved than you have.
I mean, I wasn't really interested in it. I was a sales girly, but I decided, COVID happened. Let me just study for the LSAT, give it a shot, see how things go. And the next thing you know, got into the schools. And then I'm in school, then passing classes. I'm like, oh, I'm in this.
Oh, yeah.
And I love it because honestly, you could do a lot just with law. And I'm still doing what I love, which is that business aspect. But that's how it even started because I wasn't even sure. So that's how we ended up in school together.
Yeah.
Well, tell me about the struggles that you had going through law school. Because I know when I went through law school, it was a struggle and a half. And everybody that's been an attorney or knows an attorney says, yeah, it's a struggle. So tell me about your struggles.
It was definitely a struggle. I'm really happy actually that I did have her as like a rock.
Yeah.
And everybody, we really did study, as you know, like you saw us. Like we studied a lot together. But what's nice is that we don't think the same. So we'd argue, like sometimes I remember in exams, I would remember things because of our arguments across the table.
Because she thinks more conceptually and I'm more elemental. So that built-in study buddy was great until it wasn't. And then we just had
drama in the house.
We just had some difficulties with understanding concepts. I'm like, no, what are the elements? And she's like, what elements are you talking about? And there are elements.
There are elements.
Everything has them. Sure. But it was just the way we thought about it. But it helped me understand a grand view of things, and I was able to help with a more specific view.
Oh yeah, especially with my writing. Like I like to write like a lot. And she got me to a point where it was very much, especially like my upper level writing papers. She was like, she used to say, don't mix the lasagna. So it's like, if you're talking about this is what you're working on. If you're talking about this is what you're working on. And that really, I would think of her when I was writing. I'm like, wait a minute. Eyesenia would say, you're mixing the lasagna. So then I'd stop.
Oh, Eysenia's very analytical.
Yeah.
And you like to read novels.
I do.
Right.
And I would write, and that's so funny. So I would do that with her. I'd read her like upper level, and I'm like, there's no beginning, middle, and end. There has to be. So then we made each other better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was good, but there was also struggles just with the fact that we live far.
Oh, yeah.
And, we had to go, this, because going back and forth from home to school. It was that 2 hour, sometimes 3 hour drive.
Sure.
It takes a toll. It was a lot. It's exhausting.
Well, I mean, once you moved the apartment out there, it was a lot easier.
That was our second year.
Yeah, a lot easier.
But that was hard even on, like, as myself being a wife, like being away from you, being away from your other daughter. Thankfully for technology, because we would FaceTime and talk. Because I was even saying that, like, me and my youngest, like, we got closer while I was away because we spend more time talking than we do even now when I'm home. Because it's like you have that specific time with them.
Of course, yeah,
So
quality time,
nice. But it was hard. Like, for me, I'm a little different because obviously I'm older. And so at first, it was the sheer amount of work. Like, I remember my first month of law school, I felt like I did more than I had done all of undergrad. And that's in communication, where I was writing a lot in communication as a communication major. But the amount of reading, and I don't think anything to prepare you.
Comparison to undergrad feels like a lot until you do law school, and you're like, wow, undergrad was a piece of cake.
If I would have put in the time, I would have been like a valedictorian in undergrad.
Yeah.
No, it was insane. On top of the clubs, because active member of the Christian Legal Society, and then I was also in another club, the Phi Alpha Delta, but especially Christian Legal Society, just going to the conferences, and then Mom was also vice president, I was president, and then we just worked on these events like the elevator pitch,
which you were part of.
Yeah.
That was a huge event, and doing that in the midst of studying was a lot.
Yeah.
Well, let's go backwards a little bit and let's find the why. The why of why did you want to become an attorney? I'll start with my wife here. There's a deep why here, but it's an important.
Okay, so there's a couple. So my mother in particular was the one that always said that I was like born to be an attorney, because she says that since I was a kid, I would want either defend somebody or defend myself. Like if I got in trouble, be like, well, you said X, Y, and Z, and I would like get myself out of trouble because I would use what she said. She was like, you were born to be an abogada. That's what she would say, which is attorney. And so when my mom passed away in 2019, it was like a driving force. Like I always knew I was gonna do it, but being the age that I was and starting school again, and I did everything in my power not to go back to traditional school. You know that.
Yeah.
I went to tech school for becoming a dental assistant, like a dental assistant technician. I did mortgage broker licensing, and you did a lot of this stuff too.
For sure.
And so, because I was like, I don't want to go to school that many years. And you actually were the one that was like, listen.
Well, the time's going to pass anyways.
You were like, just go. Because I kept saying I need to study for my math. And you ended up tutoring me.
Yeah, algebra.
Yes. So it's definitely not the traditional path for somebody. And I took forever. Like I remember I started taking one class, 2 classes, and I'd go back to one class. It took me 7 years to get a 2-year degree.
Yeah.
So, and I did have to do all my prerequisites for math. Like I did pre-algebra, intermediate algebra, beginner algebra.
I feel that.
I had to do all that. And honestly, like Eyesenia is the one that got me through the real. Once I got to real algebra, she's the one that would help me with my homework. And you would do it in your head, and I'd be like, how'd you do that?
I love algebra.
Well, so what was the driving force, of course, ever since I've known you, of course you want to be an attorney, but the driving force is your mom.
For sure.
And then, we started, I know I started, 31 associates bachelor's.
And it was because I suggested it. I remember.
Of course, in the conversation, driving from
but you,
the gym.
And I love that for you, because you're very much like, that's a great idea. Boom, I'm going to do it.
But what was the driving force like? Because you started school a little bit later as well, just like I did. Like what really pushed you?
The real force to start school, to be honest, was you, because you were just like, just do it. Because at the time I was still working in dental, and you had to do all these prerequisites. Like in my very high goal that I really didn't voice to anyone except for maybe you, right, my mom. But anytime that anyone would ask me like, oh, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't know. Right now I'm just taking this class, because it was such a huge goal, and I felt like I didn't want to put myself in this like box. Like if I didn't make it, I always had that feeling like what would happen. So then that's how come I didn't. I just was like, I'm just taking this class. And then once I got my associates, it's like, okay, now I'm gonna go to USF. Once I got to USF, then I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to law school. And at that point, my mom.
Did a lot of people know that you were going down this journey? I know, like for me, they didn't. I didn't tell them about it.
Not many people did, because, and also I saw that with you. Like I'd be like, are you crazy? Like you're gonna go to law school? So I didn't like all the questions. So I just really said, I'm just doing prerequisites. We'll see where it goes. Just made it part of my routine. I didn't really talk about law school until way later, even though I knew that was my ultimate goal.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it's once it becomes part of your routine, it becomes part of life. And a lot of people, they look at it like, oh my God, it's so many years, but it's like anything. I mean, once you get used to it, that's your daily grind.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like a grind because it's just something else I gotta do today.
It felt like a grind.
Well,
when you went straight through, you had no breaks.
It felt like a grind.
Yeah,
I don't know about you, but I was grinding.
yeah. Well, so let's talk about that. Like, what was your motivation? What did you decide to go to law school? What did you decide to even go through the grind? Because I mean, it is a grind. It really
Yeah.
is.
It is. It's a lot of sacrifice.
It was a lot of sacrifice. So for me, like I said, I wasn't sure if I even wanted to go into the law route because I was under the misconception that all attorneys were just in that personal injury or family law route. And I've done an internship for personal injury before. I've seen you in it, and it didn't pique my interest as much. And I'm sure, but it didn't pique my interest as much. And I wasn't aware of just all the different types of law that you could do until my manager had me shadow the corporate counsel at the company. And so as I was shadowing, I learned that there's a lot more. Although it is contract law, I also got to learn that there's the meetings that we have with the C-level executives, and I'm mainly more so a business person with a law degree. And I love that combination because, yeah, I'm basically your Apple because I love business. I have a huge passion for it, but I also love operations, and the law is just this huge operation.
Yeah.
And I got to tie in that passion of being able to do business with the operational aspect, which is the law. And that's why I decided to go. It was just because I found out there's so much more I could do with this. And once I was in school, there were times where I started to question.
Oh gosh. Yes.
Because
especially it's hard. Like it feels like it's never ends.
Yeah, there would be times I'm on the floor, tears going down my face, just because I had to write a paper and those blue book citations got me.
Oh yeah.
I could not do it, but I was going crazy, and we would take turns crying, and I'm like, why am I doing this?
Like, it's okay.
Yeah. So there were nights
But
where
just
it was
to
hard.
explain too, the reason it was so stressful is because, okay, so in law school, you only get graded on one exam.
Yes, or one paper.
Or one paper. And so you
Yeah,
go through the
midterms are short, but the
entire
finals,
semester.
everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like and some teachers do a midterm that's just to see where you're at, but it doesn't count towards your grade. So even if it did count towards your grade, it might count towards like 10, maybe 15% of your grade, and the entire thing rides off of this final.
Yeah.
So if you were like me, I always had testing anxiety, and I was just like, and I used to tell you that. I was like, you're a good test taker. I'm not a good test taker. I can't do it. So it was.
Oh, I played Angry Birds a lot.
I
Angry
remember
Birds
that.
helped a lot break up the anxieties.
But for me, that was really stressful. And so like that first year, you imagine you have no clue what's going on.
Yeah.
I'd never done anything law related. I just knew I wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's not like it isn't TV shows and movies.
No, it's not.
It's
No,
like,
it's definitely not that.
no, it's not. So then
No.
you're having to memorize all of these things and then go and take this exam. So it was difficult. But I will say second and third year, it was very hard, but you already knew what you were getting
It's
yourself
manageable.
into. Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course.
So then you're able to be like, okay, like I know what this feels like, so I know I can get through it.
What was that quote? What was that quote that we saw? We used to watch the
Oh, I know what you're talking
Handmaid's
about.
Tale.
Handmaid's Tale.
What was that quote? Do you remember the quote?
I don't remember the quote, but I know what you're talking about.
Life seems very difficult now, but later on it becomes normal or something. I forgot something like
something
that.
to that effect. Yeah.
And that's how law school is.
Yes, it
That's
is.
how, but life is hard. Life is difficult. But nothing worth doing is easy. Like if you're
my
looking
mom used to say
for,
that.
if you're trying to be successful, you can't just hang out at the beach and just hang out whenever you want. You have to put the work in.
Oh yeah, so many times you have to say no to going to events, and it feels difficult. If it weren't for just putting in that drive, and also God. Just really put us through it, because the amount of prayers, and it was a lot, but God put us through and got us through and everything.
100%. If you don't have him, like I don't know how you could do it.
Yeah.
Especially like bar prep.
Yeah.
That was hard.
That was
but
intense.
It's a sacrifice nonetheless.
It is. And the thing is that you put all this work in, and then later on in life, you're living the life that people would dream that they want to live, or they dream of what they want, and then they blame that it was easy for you. And that's not far from the truth, because they don't see the hours and hours and hours and crying.
And the parties that you didn't get to go to.
They don't see that.
Yeah.
They just see the outcome of what happens. They're like, oh, that person, because their dad paid for it, or that person because somebody gave it to them, or they're lucky. It's not luck.
Yeah. And some people, oh, sorry, you want to go?
No, go ahead.
Okay. Some people also can think it's easy by the way you portray yourself. Because even during law school, I would still have like once a month girls' nights. And we would still go out and do certain things, but it was all in scheduling and focusing on that calendar. And you still had to say no to a lot of things, but you could coordinate this and that. But it didn't just look like a ball in the park, just super easy.
Yeah. What I was going to say to your point is that a lot of times people see where you're at and they don't realize that there was a struggle. So like, we are teen parents. We had her when we were still in high school. So she actually has seen and helped us. Like, she's grown up with us. Like, when you've been always an entrepreneur, she was putting stickers on things for you, getting bags prepared.
Going to the hood areas, door to door. Yeah, of course.
Like, she's done all that, and she's seen like us move from living with your parents and like the efficiency to then having an apartment and being able to afford to buy us, a house, and then move forward. But a lot of people will see like, oh, he's an attorney, or it is in our case. It's like, oh, her husband's an attorney. Yes, my husband's an attorney, but I've been with my husband since I was 14 years old and in high school, and we didn't have anything. Like, I have lived in very, very meager conditions, as you know, with my mom.
Well, the process of moving on a regular basis and
been
difficult.
So I know how that struggle is, and I think that's why both of us, we didn't want you to have to go through that, or your sister. And so people might look at you and be like, oh, well, she was just born into money. It was, you saw us being in the table.
You were part of the struggle.
I was working with you for a lot of stuff too,
and helping us with our homework and whatever needed to get done. But yes, now it's been a few years that we have been like on that hustle mode. You led the way by really, really busting your tail. And really, and I say this all the time, like, God is definitely in the story, because it's incredible to think that I had a baby at 50. I mean, how many people discounted us even then?
Yeah, of course they don't make it.
And then now all of us are, graduates, which is amazing.
Well, I remember Eyesenia being in the car, listening to me having conversations all the time, business conversations, and then she would kind of repeat a lot of the words, which was always funny to me, because some things were used correctly, sometimes were not. But the idea is that she was thinking in a business mindset from early on, and
sparked my interest.
It did. So I guess I led by example on that one, I guess. But I remember when I had the doctor's office. This is something that was pretty hilarious, because
oh my God.
She may not remember this.
I think she may remember. I don't know.
She's so little.
I'm kind of straightforward, but not like Eyesenia is.
Oh my gosh.
And my doctors, I needed them at the office, because it was a doctor's office, and I wasn't a doctor, right?
I think I remember this.
So Eyesenia tells my doctor, what are you doing? My dad's going to fire you. I'm like, I need that person. Which, she's not wrong, right?
I mean, they were slacking at the time, I will say. I've learned a lot more now that I'm older, but when I was young, I was just like, wow, they look like they're not working. But now I've learned, so I'm okay.
And that's one thing that I've always been impressed by, is you speak your mind regardless of what people feel. You're speaking your truth. Yeah. Sometimes it comes off a little hard, right? Like to the doctor and to twins.
I think that's what makes her such an amazing lawyer, though.
Oh,
because you are super nice, very polite. I've seen you, and just in general, you always carry yourself that way. But when it's business, it's business, and it's like with Christian Legal Society, we had all those events, and I'm like, okay, guys, like it's time to move on.
Yeah,
and you're like, no, we are on a schedule. We got to get this done, and you were like, boom, boom. But you command the room.
Planning the events.
She's amazing.
I hate planning events. I hate events. Period. Like to show up to planning. No, that's your thing.
She's so good. She's just like boom, boom, boom. Yeah, very good at it.
So it really does help your personality, especially in the line of work, that you're doing the corporate counsel. I actually never thought corporate counsel. I mean, yes, you like business. We've always saw you like a judge.
Yeah,
honestly,
because you're so like good about rule following.
I mean, I don't want to be in front of you as a judge. Thank God for recuse your. I'm recusing myself. She's my daughter.
Actually, I will say because in law school, so in like criminal law, like she was very like about rules and everything. But when we took criminal procedure, she would get a lot of people off because it was all procedural. So she didn't feel. She didn't let like her emotions rule her.
They didn't satisfy all the elements. And although they were a quote unquote criminal in this hypo, I'm just gonna have to let you go. You don't satisfy it.
Yeah.
But
so anybody out there that does criminal defense work, if she ever becomes a judge, you know where to go.
With the criminal, as long as it goes forward procedurally, that's right.
Bad stop.
It's true.
No, it's true. It's true.
It's true. It is true.
But so now in the corporate life, I mean, it literally is black and white. Literally is black and white. And you're talking to the C-level executives, and I know you love doing that. And Blueberries, where you work at currently, gives you that flexibility and that. So tell me about that, like your experience with the current company you work with, and like challenges that you see, expectations that you have, and like what do you see going forward?
Yeah, so the company, working in-house counsel, what it is that you have to be ready to take on any type of law. And it could be something completely random that I've never seen before, learn it, research it, and then give recommendations, or I would have a meeting to discuss how I want to approach that. And it could vary between demand letter, or it could be something even bigger on the M&A scale. And I'm still for mergers and acquisitions.
See, that's fancy words. We ain't fancy over here.
But I am still new in the company, so I'm currently in the learning process, and I know eventually it's going to get even more so. It's just a matter of you learn new information, apply it, provide recommendations for the business.
Well, let me ask you, what is your ultimate goal? Like, I mean, yes, you became an attorney, you worked hard, but what is your ultimate goal in life? I mean, are you looking to be a CEO? Like, what a CFO? You know, not just general counsel, corporate counsel. I mean, what is your goal that you see in your legal career and also in your future?
So in my life right now, being corporate counsel, I would like to transition to general counsel. I do appreciate the work-life balance that provides. I am not entirely sure of where else I'm going to go, because originally I didn't even see myself working in logistics at all. Mm-hmm. I didn't even know what logistics was. Very, very minimum information about it, and I love it. So I'm just seeing where God takes me, and I don't know if that's going to be in a courthouse, or maybe it'll be a CEO, or maybe I want to stay in general counsel because I love it, and I'm just waiting to see how that develops in life.
But if you had a crystal ball, and I understand you see how it developed, but if you had a crystal ball, you said, you know what, 10 years from now, I see myself doing this, what would that thing be?
10 years from now, I see my life more so in a general lifestyle. I see myself traveling a lot more, and that'll come with flexibility. So whatever job that I have, I know I'm going to have the flexibility to be able to travel, because that's my dream. And it doesn't have to be for months on end, but I want to be able to leave regularly. Mm-hmm. And I also see myself having a family. So being able to be there for my family, whether that's a part of the PTAs, and I'm a part of many organizations as a whole. So as a lifestyle, I just want to have the ability to go out and experience life. Yeah,
so, I mean, you definitely work very well in the corporate setting, because as a business owner, that's a little bit harder to do a lot of times, because it's not so much the work sometimes, that the legal side, it's the administrative side.
Yeah.
The legal side is, yeah, of course, if you have other attorneys, they can go attorney, but if you're the only attorney, that's, you have trial work, you have all the stuff, but you have admin issues all the time. Oh, the staff, I can't come in today, I'm sick, or whatever the case is. So that's always a problem, but in your line of work right now, it makes it a little bit easier. Not that it's easy, but it makes it easier that you have that flexibility which is, doesn't sound bad when you say it. Well, maybe I should. No, it's okay. I only know what
She loves the corporation that she's at.
She
I
does.
love them.
And you know that.
They're so good.
She's a cheerleader for them for sure.
I am.
To your point though earlier, how you were saying about how you didn't know anything about logistics.
Mm-hmm.
I think that was interesting too, because I didn't know what logistics was until she got into it.
I only know just one of the trucking companies.
Yeah, I mean, I honestly.
But so if we ever need a legal expert, there she is. Nah, don't sell out them. They sound horrible.
Yeah, no.
Nah, I know
please,
you wouldn't.
please don't.
So and babe and Maria.
It's weird to call you.
Yeah, it is. So tell me about your goals and your ambitions. 10 years down the line, like what do you see yourself doing? I know currently right now you're at the office, and of course want you to stay at the office. But like, what is your goals later on?
Okay, so I made a promise to God, and you know this, that I would use my law degree however He wanted me to do it. So I'm hoping that, and He's done this already where He just opens doors. So as I was waiting for my bar exam results, because as you already know, when you take the bar exam, you have to wait a few months before you get your results. So you're just in this limbo where you have no idea if you're going to have to start bar prepping again. And for those that don't know what bar prepping is, it's basically 10 weeks of rigorous, like you can't even explain how difficult it is, because it's like
you have no idea until you go
more
through
than 60 hours of study each week, and it's tough. There's no days off. Mm-hmm. But anyhow, after those 10 weeks of this very bad, very difficult situation, you wait. And so what I decided to do was I decided to go into becoming a guardian ad litem. And so I just started that. I thought I would be done in the time that I was waiting, but it happened at the same time that I found out that I passed the bar, which thankfully me and Eyesenia both passed on our first try, which is amazing, because it's very difficult to do. And we didn't go to like a top tier law school, even though I have nothing bad to say about it.
It's good school though. I mean,
it is, but I mean, it's not like they have a high bar passage rate. Like that was
like holy.
Yeah, it's hard. So we had a couple things working against all three of us. Yeah.
A lot of artists.
Oh gosh, FAMU is awesome. I love it. I have nothing bad to say about them.
I love FAMU.
Yeah.
It's just far. That was the only thing.
Yeah, it was the driving. That's the only thing but we met really great people. Our teachers were great. Yeah.
So,
but just to answer your question, so I became a guardian ad litem. So I'm doing that now. That's kind of like my volunteer pro bono type work that I'm doing. And I'm not working as a lawyer there. I'm working as just a guardian ad litem volunteer. And so I can eventually be a lawyer, but I think they need more guardian ad litems than they do guardian ad litem lawyers. Mm-hmm. So I'll do that. And then I'm currently working in personal injury, which while I was in law school, those were my favorite classes. Like torts was one of my favorite classes. And I also like family law. So I don't know if that's gonna be something that I do in the future. Mm-hmm. I am leaving it open and just kind of letting God, guide me into what
you would do great in family law.
No, you would do great in family law. It's just stressful.
It is, and my biggest qualm with, like, the only reason why I haven't jumped on family law is that I pride myself in being empathetic, and I truly, feel for people. I don't get teary-eyed just listening to someone tell their story, but I don't want to lose that humanity. I don't want to get it to be where I'm desensitized.
Which happens a lot in family law.
But maybe they need maybe I won't be like that, and they need someone like me that will kind of humanize it. So we'll see how that pans out, but I'm still in that realm where I love towards, and I always have. I feel like you're helping injured people. And I genuinely feel like whether it's a small injury or a big injury, a lot of people just don't know how to navigate it. And I feel really good, especially my Spanish-speaking clients. Like, I love that because a lot of times they get the short end of the stick when it comes to police reports, everything, because they just have that language barrier. Yeah, so for me, I definitely want to help in the Spanish community. Like, I know that that's one of the things I want to do, and whether it's like doing torts and family law or
well, I mean, even the case that we just talked to now, your friend, I mean, that was a wrongful death case. It left a wife and a 5-year-old. I mean, unfortunately,
that's what I mean.
It's something that really does change lives.
Yeah, it's rewarding.
It's rewarding. Yeah. But then with all those emotions, it's tough. And you don't want to lose your humanity, I guess, your empathy. But it does put a toll on you. This podcast is sponsored by medlegalsafekeep.com. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button. Now back to the episode.
When you're dealing with like personal injury or even family law, like in your case it's business, but it's still like some things that you might have to do might take a toll on you, because as lawyers we're dealing with everyone else's problems.
Yeah, the bad days.
That's literally what it is you're dealing with. And so if you're having a bad day, you have to put your bad day off to the side because they're counting on you.
Of course.
And so it is rewarding. I see it all the time, like when you're able to finally give somebody closure, a parent that lost a child, or even if it's just somebody that's been injured and they've been waiting forever to get money. It is rewarding, but it definitely I can see how it can take a toll. That's why you have to take vacation.
And you do. And I remember when I had the clinic, I mean, I didn't take vacation for a long time, and then I finally started taking vacation. And you need to.
Yeah, you have to.
Especially these very catastrophic cases.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, because everybody, not just the spouse, the kids, the family, the grandparents, the neighbors, everybody's feeling the pain.
Yeah, they are.
And
it's sad because they're grieving.
They're grieving.
And so now you have that element that you have to deal with. And so you want to be cognizant of the fact that they're grieving, but at the same time, you also have to preserve evidence. So then you need them to sign documents, and you need because if not, then you're not getting what you need. Yeah. So it's tough. Like that is tough. But that's why I literally wanted to do that. I want to help people. So that's why I think I gravitate towards just like your personal injuries, like motorcycle accidents, car accidents, wrongful death, and then family law, because you're helping people.
Well, the guardian ad litem too, you're helping kids.
And that's the reason I picked that, because their kids are not lying. They are genuinely, they need you. And so that's the reason that it really got put it in my heart to do that. Yeah. And I have. So I started, and so far so good. So.
Well, let's go back a little bit further back. I would probably say you're 14, I was 17, right? And let's talk about that struggle just a little bit. I mean, it's an accident. I mean, kind of.
You're not an accident, baby.
You're not an accident. Yeah, we do. We do love you.
No, we do love you.
But it wasn't
planned. It wasn't planned. It was unplanned.
Yeah.
Of course. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. So I will say that it definitely wasn't planned. No. 100%. That was like my only flub, really, as a kid. I was like a really, really good kid.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry about that.
No, it's okay. My mom loves you, so does my dad. They still love you. No, they love you. But it was.
Well, your dad loves me now.
Yeah, he loves you now, for sure. Yeah. But.
Your mom always loved me.
She did. And you know what? And my mom was amazing. My mom was very understanding, and I remember she went and bought baby clothes right away. Yeah, she was just we're gonna make it work.
Yeah,
she's so sweet. Yeah, instantly she was like, well, it happened, we're gonna make it work. And so that's what happened.
And I remember, I was going to school, I worked at Shirts Merchandise, and I would do little side jobs here and there, then wake up early to do that process over again, and then come home, and then of course, anybody out there that doesn't understand how hard motherhood is, it's hard, especially when you're a stay-at-home mom.
And the age I was, in reality.
Well, true, but even then, kids are difficult.
Oh, yeah.
And then whenever they don't come with an instruction manual, so you don't know. And they're always
and my baby poor thing was always, and she was always sick.
Yeah,
with your nose.
I still am.
Yeah,
I get sick every exam season too.
Yep, she was sick during bar exams. She was sick on finals. Yeah,
I'm sorry.
But yeah, so she was always sick, and she wouldn't sleep. Remember?
Yeah, I remember.
So poor thing, I feel bad.
Sorry for you guys.
Dad wouldn't sleep at night, and then he still had to go to school. But you got your best grades.
I did get my best grade. Listen, it did change my life, but it was tough sometimes coming home at night and then saying, and with the baby all day, here, take. And
I would definitely pass the buck.
Yeah, which was nice, but also a little bit stressful at times. And then, of course, the waking up every couple hours at the bottom of milk. And,
changing diapers.
And a lot of people don't get that. A lot of people, they don't understand how much you have to put. And people use that a lot as an excuse. They may have a kid, or they might have kids and say, I can't go to school, I can't do this, I have a kid, I'm too old, I'm too this, I'm too that. But clearly, we did it, right? It wasn't easy.
It was.
But it's you just have to. What's your next step? What do you know? What's the next thing you have to do?
I've heard this many times. Like they say, you choose your hard.
Yeah.
True.
And I think that's what it is, you know, because you can choose not to do it, and then you might struggle with your finances.
Yeah.
You'll struggle with just different things. You're gonna have a struggle no matter what.
Yeah.
So you have to choose your heart, and so like we chose to keep her, obviously.
For sure.
You know, and we chose.
I'm glad we did.
Oh, absolutely.
I'm glad
I couldn't
too.
imagine. I couldn't imagine anything else. You know, it was never even an option. But I mean, like that was our obviously it was a choice,
Yeah.
and it was hard. We grew up together, as you know, and we learned with you. I
Yeah,
remember.
and your words like passion for fashion,
I know.
passion for fashion.
Oh my gosh.
That's a whole story. That's a whole story.
That's the whole story.
Oh my
That was
gosh.
your temper
Not the
tantrum
passion for
at
passion
Walmart.
one.
Temper tantrum,
Our
yeah.
baby girl has always been had a passion for fashion.
Yeah, that's true though. She's very
And
fashionable.
she wanted
Thank
to
you.
go to, she was asking for it at Walmart. We were asking what kind of toys. She kept saying, I want a pachu
We're
papachu.
like, what are you talking about?
And then
Yeah.
she was crying until we finally found it was Jade.
Yeah.
It
From
was Jade
Brad's.
from Bratz. And
Yeah.
when you
Fashion.
found it, you looked at
Passion
both
for
of
fashion.
you looked at both of us like, hello, like pachu papachu.
Oh, that's like the shorts, like chon grande,
Chon
right?
grande.
You know, like
Oh
the
my
long
gosh.
shorts.
But it's between the Spanish and the
was,
English.
it was.
You know, the two languages really messed it up at
for
the
sure.
same time. And I think that is where
But
that
there
whole
was a lot of
situation
things. Like I remember because I was so young with you, I would be like, "What do you want to wear?" That was my,
Oh,
and so
yeah.
I'd have her pick. And
I
so
know.
whenever
Yeah.
she was in her terrible 2s and 3s, that's where you were like, "I want to wear chon grande," which was long shorts, which were actually jeans, and I had no clue what you were talking about.
Yeah.
And since I had always allowed you to pick out your clothes since you were a baby, you were just like, "No, like
That's-
I'm
yeah,
gonna
that's her
wear,
personality. She's
I'm
like,
gonna wear
"This is
what I
what I
want to
want."
wear." Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was like, she's an individual.
True.
She should be able to make her own choices. I don't do that, but our second one.
No.
And our second one was like, you're wearing this.
Yeah, of
you're gonna
course.
drink water. You're eating vegetables. Because same thing with you. I didn't make you do any of that
And there's
stuff.
pros and
Yeah.
cons to that, you know.
well, we have
pros and cons.
completely different personalities now
Is
too.
that true?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
You know, one thing I can say is, you know, whenever you, at first it was stressful, you know, when you said, hey, I'm pregnant with
Oh yeah,
young,
you remember
right?
you got a zit. Your
Yeah,
mouth.
that's it, yeah. Nancy has to lose more hair, a little stress, right? Right. It's, I mean, of course, it's hereditary, but the stress was definitely there. But what it did do is change my life. Like, it really changed my
Oh
life.
yeah. And like put a fire in
It
you.
really did, because I mean,
Yeah.
going from hanging out with my old acquaintances that were doing things that we shouldn't be doing, to like that's all I knew, and maybe I could have been, you know, a tech worker or whatever. Again, I don't know. I don't know what the future would have held at that point. But what I do know is that it changed me from thinking about getting money quickly, maybe not the best possible way, to saying, you know what, I need to put the work in, and that's when I opened the clinic. When Eyesenia was 2.
Yeah.
And not with a loan, contrary to what some people.
I made a
understand with
mistake. I made a mistake. I was under the belief that you had a loan to start the business. I was corrected.
this. No,
Immediately.
The loan was looking for places that were throwing away their furniture and picking it up for free and reselling
I know.
stuff and flipping dividers.
Because the thing that people don't get is that, again, you had a little bit of a more stable
Yeah.
home environment because your mom had a stable job and you lived in a certain area, but you didn't have money for like designer clothes
No,
or
no.
anything of that nature. So anything like that, you had to work. I remember you
For
worked,
sure.
and that's how you were able to take us out on dates and things
Yeah.
like that. So whenever there was no loans because nobody had good credit.
No.
I know my mom didn't have
No.
good credit.
I mean, my first car,
you were
if you
too
remember,
young.
I mean,
Yeah.
you got, 30% interest, prepayment penalties,
Yeah.
the whole deal. Yeah, it
And
was
most people,
awesome.
even when you're doing a new business, it's very difficult to get a loan. So usually you have to have some type of collateral
Yeah.
to even be able to do that. So yeah, he's right. Like he would literally, back in the day, there was this thing called the flyer. Now there's Craigslist,
Oh,
and
yeah. Yeah. Now it's so
OfferUp,
easy to
and
sell
all of
things,
these
but
things. But
before,
back
yeah.
then it was the flyer.
Flyer.
And that's how you would sell a lot of the.
Yeah, dividers, a lot of the desk, a lot of things like that. And then, we basically I used my furniture, my grandma's furniture,
I remember
at
the plastic on it with the,
the plastic
flowers.
on it, the flower, we had a fruits on for the chairs.
Yes.
It was in a very seedy area. And sometimes, as you remember, I mean, there was clients that we'd have to wait till
At
9
9
p.m.
p.m.
9 p.m. to see the client. We'd be there all day bored out of our minds. And the client comes at 9. Or, hey, I can't come in. I would have to go to their house and do therapy.
I remember.
And go to the doctor's office, because sit there at their doctor's office for the right prescription to come back for therapy. And so I was able to finally hire a doctor and work on partnership deals, and then eventually, 13 years later. But like you said, choose your heart. I love that you brought, choose your heart. I chose that heart.
You did choose that hard, and it was hard.
It was hard.
It was hard. Yeah.
What I did learn from that is it definitely helped on the people skills, because I was in the projects a lot, talking to a lot of people all the time, asking people, hey, do you know anybody's been in a car accident with my little...
Yeah, because it was right by the office.
Right by the office.
Yeah.
Yeah, so with my little flyer, and then they're like, oh, this crazy white boys, and, but I ate a lot of soul food.
Oh my gosh, that was so nice.
And I became great friends with so many people. I mean, I brought me to their house, they hung out, and then, I had a Valerie, and
I was just thinking about
she sent me like 5 clients.
Yeah, she's amazing.
And from there, that was kind of the thing that started moving the office.
Yeah, and then other people kept referring.
More people, and then...
And you had a problem because a lot of doctors were trying to take the clients away from
all
you.
The time.
Because they were like, well, we have a massage therapist here. We also
Of
are
course.
the doctors. But thankfully, you had built such a good relationship with your patients that they didn't leave you.
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
attorneys would try to steal clients from me, doctors would try to steal clients from me, and the doctors that I would send business to, they would try to take my clients, and I sent them the business.
Yeah.
And attorneys too, and I got them the attorney, and the attorney's like, oh, go somewhere else.
Yeah, because you were young also.
21.
Yeah, 21.
Yeah.
Yeah, 21. Yeah, August of 2000 when I opened up the clinic. And that and that was kind of funny because. Became actually the story is, as you know, the massage therapy story was I worked at Tampa for the credit union.
Yes.
And so contrary to my daughter that loves the corporate world, I do not like the corporate world.
But they treat me good. That's the difference.
They weren't bad. It's just that he questions.
Well, I question everything. So what I didn't understand the hierarchy of just things. I'm like, you brought me here. I'm getting all these awards. I'm getting all these bonuses. I'm getting all these things. You brought me here to train other people, but yet you're not training me, Michelle. And
It's a name
you're out
drop.
there, just know I'm doing much better than that. So the point is that I would go over her head, and I would go to her boss. And then nothing was happening. I would go to their boss, and nothing was happening. I got to a point that I was going to the CEO of the bank, and nothing was happening. But what was happening is I was pissing off this lady.
Yeah, so then now they're like nitpicking at everything. Yeah.
And then the conversation we had earlier on about HR. HR does not protect the client. HR does not protect the employee. It protects the company.
Yeah.
So HR was like, listen, Eddie. I mean. Yes, true, she fell and you went to grab her, you got a sexual harassment charge for touching her. She was hit the floor. True, we see that you clocked in, and no, you clocked out, you were helping customers, and then you clocked out at the same time, but Michelle said you falsified time. Like, crazy things like that, but you know what, in a way, that was the best possible thing that could have happened to me, because I remember us talking, and I got fired. I mean, it's no secret, I got fired from Tampa Federal Credit Union. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? And then I wanted to go to school to be a chiropractor.
Yep.
And I only know one chiropractor because he did an adjustment on me. And we were going to move to New Jersey.
Yeah, because there was no schools out here.
Yeah, to New York chiropractic school.
And my family I had family in New Jersey, so we were going to live in Jersey, and I would have to take a train for an hour.
I'm glad we stayed in Florida.
Yeah. Oh yeah, me too. And that's what I said. So before we do all this uprooting, why don't you even figure out if you even like this?
Yeah.
And then that's when he went to massage therapy school.
Well, not right away. I first was a little hesitant because I was like, I don't want to touch people. I was super ignorant. There's these places in Florida that are massage parlors, and you think other type of massages.
Yeah, but it was in
and get young and ignorant, right? So, and then I went to massage therapy school, and then which is funny because they teach you a lot of anatomy, a lot of anatomy, more than I thought just doing regular massages.
It wasn't easy.
It wasn't.
Like tests and all kinds of things, yeah.
And then I remember going to a clinic, and then I went from that clinic to another clinic, and that's they taught me the background, the therapeutic side, the background, how to run a business. And that's when I started realizing
I can do this.
I can do this.
Yeah.
And then that's when I started flipping furniture and selling furniture and buying used equipment.
Yeah, because you had a goal of like, I'm gonna open up my own place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's one thing leads you to the next. So I mean, when I asked earlier on the question about what do you see yourself in 10 years, it's kind of like a trick question because like in my mind I have a what I see myself in 10 years, but at the same time, life changes. Your path changes depending on what happens throughout.
Absolutely.
You know, like I never thought I would want to be an attorney.
No.
Ever.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I didn't even think I wanted to even do the medical side. Ever. I don't even know what I wanted to do. Oh yeah, when I was younger, I wanted to be a doctor.
Yeah.
But a regular doctor, not a personal injury doctor.
Yeah.
And you know, life changes things, and you know, you either learn from it or you don't learn from it.
That's true.
And you just improve on it.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like 10 years ago, I wouldn't have thought that I would have been a lawyer.
I knew it though. Like yeah, lawyer, yes.
You too. Like 10 years ago. But I mean, 10 years ago, I was already in college. But there was a point where I honest to God would have been like, yeah, that's just not gonna, that's in the cards for me.
Yeah.
You know, because I just didn't want to go. I was really stubborn about not wanting to go to school because it was too long. Meanwhile, I would have finished way earlier.
For sure.
Had I just done it. Yeah.
I mean, remember I started school and I was like, sucks. And actually, I started school and I had the clinic. I said, I'm making more money than doctors make. I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
Again, ignorant self, right? Thinking that why do this? But then when they changed the laws, they want the doctors with the corporation. We had to make some corporate structure changes. I was like, what am I going to do if I had to close the clinic?
And then that's when I was like, why did you
Why don't you go to law school?
And he said, great idea.
I know.
Except for you didn't have your bachelor's or anything, so you had to start from scratch.
At 31. Yeah, yeah. They're like, oh, you're an attorney. I'm like, yeah, but I started at 31, like my associates and my bachelor's, which was funny because I was the best dressed person at HTC.
You were coming from work.
Coming from work, I was on the phone constantly, and people were like, well, actually, it didn't happen to USF that one day I wore shorts and people started clapping. They said, oh my God, he is a normal person. That was
so
the weirdest
funny.
thing, and I remember it was a smaller class. I was at USF, and I can't remember what class it was right now, but they literally started clapping, and I was like, "What?
That's so funny.
What's going on?"
What's going on? Yeah,
He said he's wearing his jeans or shorts or
But
whatever.
now he's the best dressed. Now he's the best dressed.
He's a normal person.
Yeah. And then law school, I was just a little bit more relaxed because
Yeah.
law school is hard.
I had a uniform. It was jeans and one of my God shirts. Like especially during finals, it would always be like, you know, first time we thank God or our Christian Legal Society. I needed Jesus in those moments. I need him all the time, but in those moments especially, like I had a uniform. And if not that, like during regular weeks, it would be the family shirts.
Yeah, the first year I wore a lot of dresses that when I wore jeans, someone was like, you wear jeans?
Yeah.
So that was a surprise, but then it's just when it would get cold, and the few times it did in Florida, then I started wearing jeans and the family shirt or the Christian shirt.
Yeah. I mean, I think that as long as you still keep professional, I think the fallacy now is a lot of attorneys, they get too comfortable sometimes, and it's sad because you know, we worked so hard to get here, as you know, go through the process, and then in practice, as you see also, is hard.
It is.
Actually, practicing law is hard.
Yeah.
It is.
And then attorneys that have been doing it for quite some time, they become lazy and they take sometimes they use clients' trust funds.
Yeah, I know.
Sometimes
I don't see how anyone.
I would never ever use the client's trust funds.
No.
But people start becoming very relaxed, and actually I see a lot of lawyers, you know, wearing flip-flops and shorts and where's professionalism? Where's you know, I don't know. I think things has changed. I mean, I know COVID changed quite a bit of things on Zoom, and people started losing their.
It might also be transactional lawyers because, like, trial lawyers, like the judge is not really okay with that.
Yeah.
No, but from waist up, they're dressed up. Waist down, they're wearing shorts and sneakers.
Yeah.
Right, and that seems to be common practice. Like as Kim was telling you that, you know, some lawyers don't dress up, and now per Zoom they don't dress up. So I don't know how COVID affected a lot of things, but you work so hard to get here, and the next thing you know, people are taking shortcuts and doing things they shouldn't be doing. So have you seen, even in law school, did you guys start seeing that in the beginning people were doing dress and acting a certain type of way, and then towards the end they got a little bit more lazy with it?
I think it
In
depends.
law school, there were some people that would dress up all the time and they're in the suit or the blazer, and then there were other people that were treating it just like a regular day, like wearing their gym outfit or whatever it is. So every single person had their own style, and they didn't conform to any specific look. They weren't going towards a professional look just because we were in school.
Sure.
It could be sweats or it could be a suit.
Yeah, or it could be like club attire.
Yeah.
Yeah, club attire is kind of crazy at law school or any professional setting.
It is. I think they just
Yeah.
treated it like undergrad. Like I remember in undergrad, like everyone dresses however they want.
Yeah.
So a lot of people just did that.
Well, in undergrad, I did have an incident where I was so happy to be done with high school, and I started wearing crop tops. I was so excited, and I had my crop top on, and it had sleeves, and I was wearing shorts that day, and I had a jacket. And I had somebody come up to me, and it was in the student government, and they said, Eyesenia, you can't wear this. It is unprofessional, and people won't take you serious. And that day, I was so frustrated because it was the first time I was going to college. I was a first year in college, and I finally could wear that type of clothes. Then I go to law school, and people are wearing worse things than what I wore that day. I was shocked. I don't wear crop tops to school anymore. In general, it's not my style. However, it was just something I was excited for, brand new. I was a little freshman.
And for you too, though, like you had that situation where they said you should have been wearing heels.
Yes, I was also in the sales club, and I would get dressed up, and I had a dress on. I'm pretty sure I had a blazer, my hair was done, makeup done, but I was wearing flats, and I'm fairly tall because I'm 5'7", and the thing is I wasn't wearing heels that day, and one of my commentaries was, oh, you should have been wearing heels because you would be more professional. And that was a little crazy for me.
Yeah, well, I think people judge you how you look a lot of times.
Yeah.
And it's sometimes it's sad, and sometimes it's good and bad. Like the example of the bank I went the other day. You know, I came in with shorts and a t-shirt, and the lady didn't want to make my deposit. You know, but whereas where I wear a suit, they let me do whatever I want.
Yeah.
Right. So, but at the same token, when you're presenting yourself, I feel you should present yourself to the profession that you're in, right? So, if you're a farmer, you should wear farm clothes. If you're an attorney, you should you should dress the part. You know,
I feel like I do agree to a certain extent that you need to be in the professional, but I also feel like you need to feel comfortable. So, for example, for women, like even though I've worn heels forever, like sometimes I don't want to wear heels all day. So I want to wear flats or they're nice flats. I mean, they're not like scuffed up or anything like that. But I thought that was a little much that they were like, you need to wear heels.
That was a little much.
They don't know if she has issues like where her knees or just maybe she doesn't like to wear heels. And really, I'm not sure if it was a man or a woman that made the comment, but
It was a
regardless,
man.
you never wore heels before.
No.
So it's
well, but that's understandable. That's still different.
But that day I was professional.
yeah.
The first day, freshman year, I wasn't quite professional. I was just going to college.
Yeah.
I understand that. Although the comment didn't necessarily mean anything because people still take me seriously despite all of that.
Because it wasn't an event, it was just a regular day.
Well, no, that's
Regular
different.
day.
But I feel an attorney should not wear a tank top to work.
To
So
work?
to work, I agree.
Yeah.
They could wear a polo and
A polo,
sometimes
stuff like that.
like,
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm saying
like
maybe-
kind of like golf wear or something.
Fine.
Like
To
that.
work,
Yeah.
it should be more
professional.
professional.
I agree.
Yeah.
Of course, because there's a certain image when people think of a doctor, you don't want to see a doctor wearing, like gym clothes.
No,
Right?
Yeah.
That'd be kind of awkward.
No, of course. It's the setting.
Yeah.
It's the setting. So I think that's very important in life, really, because you have even without a professional setting, going out, you still want to have a certain look, because that way people say, you know what, that's a respectable looking person,
Yeah.
right? Because people judge you by the way you look, people judge you by the way you talk, people judge you by, shallow enough, they judge you by the car you drive a lot of times, Sometimes it's good and bad. You know, if you've lost too much, they judge you that you're. You know, what's funny about that, actually, about that subject is that if you show off too much, they'll say, "Oh, he's a show off. My money's paying for all that." But if you don't show wealth, they'll say, "Oh, my attorney is.
Yeah, like
He's not doing good,
doing well.
right?" So
Yeah.
it's kind of a happy balance. A lot of times, the key is don't show none of your stuff online.
I said that.
Yeah, you said that, and I try to tell my attorney friends, like, don't go off and show your red bottoms and all this stuff. Don't go out of your way to show off.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think for people, because I mean, people are struggling. A lot of people are struggling. It's difficult.
But that's one thing. It's like, to me, I'm happy when I see people succeeding.
Me too.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely am. And we've earned what we have, period. But some people are born into it. And it's like, if they're born into it, like, hey, power to you. You were born into it.
Yeah.
But in our case, I do think, and you've had this happen more than us even, where people actually, you
Yeah.
have it too, where they misconstrue, like, they're like, oh, they came from money. They
Yeah.
have all this, but they
People
don't
assume
realize.
it all the time
Yeah.
because I tell them, oh, my dad's an attorney, and now my mom's an attorney,
yeah.
and they assume that I came from all this wealth, but I was passing out the flyers with you in the projects. I worked at the Gorilla Connections with you, learning how to do SEO tags for
Telemarketing.
marketing, telemarketing with the real estate, had to check that. So it was all of this stuff, and I've always worked with you throughout stuff, and then these internships with another law firm, journalism. So I've always worked, and people just assume that things were handed to me.
Well, look, I'm going to end as I started. I'm very proud of you both.
Thank you.
And my other daughter's not here, but I'm very proud of her as well.
I'm really proud of
proud of
her.
her.
too.
I love her.
And thank you for joining the podcast. And I mean, I expect nothing but greatness from you both, of course.
We have big shoes to fill over here.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you've been,
yeah.
leading the way
Yeah.
for a while. So
I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.